dragsters, they were all hard-topped, and yes, they were all acid dips. These cars, the A990 cars, were never acid dipped from the factory. They were stamped with thin-gauge steel. And then the next thing that happened was they began looking at the weight ratio from front to rear. I'm going to let Hemi Eddie pick up on that a little bit. He talked about this earlier when we were unveiling one of the A990 cars, but it was a lot more than just the sheet metal. So why don't you give us a little background on some of the mechanical changes that were made to the Hemi motor to make it lighter in the front end?
Absolutely. Thank you, Jeff. So, you know, like Jeff was saying, the sheet metal was one part of it. They went with lighter steel to comply with the NHRA rules. But under the hood is where a lot of the weight was removed. In 64, they had a cross-ram intake made out of aluminum. Well, in 65, they went to magnesium, and I want to say it dropped about 10 or 13 pounds off of the front end. Then you start looking at the rest of the engine. Well, they had cast iron heads in 64. They went with aluminum heads in 65. And then the whole front of the motor, the water pump housing, the water pump, and the water pump neck went from cast iron to aluminum. And then tucked underneath there was that aluminum oil pump that was cast iron in 64, aluminum housing and plate for 65. So you took a whole lot of weight off the front of that motor that didn't need to be there and allowed for better weight transfer.
And as Jim was pointing out earlier, you know, racers obviously decide that's still not light enough. Let's use titanium, let's use magnesium. The price of titanium these days, you probably won't be doing that. But the bottom line would be that obviously taking weight off mattered. Now, what happened though in 66 and 67 is these cars continued to dominate in NHRA racing. People forget Shirley Shahan, of course, won the Winter Nationals with hers. And then Ed Miller, racing Jenkins, won the 1967 Superstock World Championship with a 2-year-old car and $10,000 from George Hurst. So the cars were very successful in that regard. The 1968 Darts and Barracudas arrived, and a lot of the guys who had 65 cars, if they thought they could get away with it, that magnesium intake went on there pretty quickly. Aluminum heads were another story, and in fact, the aluminum heads became pretty difficult to come by until the Chrysler re-released that part back in the early 70s. But we're going to go to Mr. Griffith again here. He was talking about getting one of the final A990 cars, and let's just talk about when you raced that car, what the competitors thought about that car, the other brands, when you showed up with that race car at the track skip.
Well, we ran super stock at a lot of the local tracks. And when we showed up, like at Rockford Dragway, after the first week, they were using handicaps. So the Chevelles had a 396, a pretty potent package, and we were giving them 75 feet. Well, the next week it was 100. Then a week later, I was giving them 125. I beat those damn cars, and I gave them 175 feet.
Very good, very good. Sorry, if you're one of the Chevelle owners, it's nothing personal, it's only business with the MOPAR guys. So, Mr. Leal, of course, got one of those altered wheelbase cars, as Arnie was talking about, with the funny car thing going on. They took several hard tops. The total was 11 cars. They acid dipped them. The racers had them, and they were assembled by a subcontractor in the Detroit area. But Butch had done something in 1964. He had won Superstock in the stick class. Well, he was pretty busy in the summer of 65 running that altered wheelbase MOPAR. That was in Plymouth. But he needed a car to go back and defend that 1964 Superstock title. So they're in the class. So tell us a little bit about the 1965 car you got in 1965.
Well, my 65 car, taller wheelbase or A990 car? Well, I was in racing all over match races. I've raced at Stan Pontiac and Arnie's guys in Texas, I think. We raced in Texas in 65. He came with this GTO thing, I gotta tell this first. And it had a damn big old thing on the top of the engine. I said, what the hell is that? It was a supercharged thing. And our friend, Carl Gay, he liked and Donnie, we raced there. And once I got there, I looked at that thing and I said, Carl, I'm gonna kill it. He went around me like a freight train passing a tramp. I've never, that thing really ran good. And I asked him, I says, he ran Fox and Martin's dollar wheelbase car. He was telling me they ran good, and but we couldn't wait to get injectors. I would get back at it somehow. We were picking up quite often. Anyway, I was going all over the country with the dollar wheelbase car, and just before Indy, Dave Maxwell called me and said, would you like to run Super Stock? You won it with that flathead last year. And and he said, I said, well, I'd like to. And I said, what are we going to do for a car? Well, I'm a 4-speed guy. Well, he said, we had sent a 4-speed car to, I think, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, Ashley Dam Motors, and go pick it up. And I said, well, I got 10 days. Well, picked it up. He asked me first, you got a legal superstock engine? I said, yeah, my spare engine is a legal superstock for the all-air wheelbase car. It came out of the all-air wheelbase car. Anyway, I sent the kid there, brought it back. We painted it at Oxen Martin shop. I had red spray all over. It cost me $300 to clean that up. And we got to Indianapolis. I'll be damned if I didn't win the race. That's the darndest thing I'd ever seen. Ran really well. Got a center header, I remember, from Doug in 2 days, and everything worked perfectly. It has to work perfectly. And we talk about it, now we can put slicks on it, get rid of the 7-inch tires after Indy. So I did that, I'll never forget. I go to Long Beach and race, I take in 3,400-pound class. I let the clutch out, I win a 3,400-pound deal. Come back, I loaded on the trailer, and both quarter panels were big. Now I got to tie it together, straighten the panels up, but they weren't meant to have slicks on. And the same with the all-air wheelbase dip, they would just tear the panels up. And that was a great time of life. I mean, Chrysler was on top of that so well, and anything we needed. Actually, a good story I will tell you, that I took the car, the all-air wheelbase car, not the Superstock, but the all-air wheelbase car to Phoenix, left Phoenix, went to the Winter National, sitting on the truck. Farmer Beswick and with Wally and Jack Hart at that time, they were looking at it like this. He said, Butch, that car looks funny. And that's how Funny Car got his name. I said, that's a heck of a thing, you know. I put that on my credit, so that's cool.
Very good. And Jim, I'm going to rotate to you because you guys had one of the craziest. He said it looked funny with the factory hardtop car, but you guys had your A990 car did some big evolution, didn't it?
It did. Thank you. And I got some pictures I'll leave up here for you. I posted a couple on Shadow Woods Racing's Facebook page of our dad bringing the car home when it was all white. In 1965, when it was an all original stock car, nobody really wanted them at the time, and that became the UFO. Some of you people may have seen the UFO somewhere. In '66 and '67, it was a national champion car, and there's a weird picture of it here with a snout on it because our dad was a World War II pilot, and he said the car's too flat in the front, and he made this out of chicken wire and fiberglass, and it picked up 6 miles an hour. That's pretty cool. These intake manifolds, just to give you a little insight on that, when they were aluminum, I was the one that was cutting the tops off of them and porting and polishing them so that they looked like chrome on the inside. And the reason we got to do them at our place was because our dad owned a Sunoco station that was pretty obscure. And Holly Carburetor, which was in Warren, asked us to do the intakes. My brother would cut the top off, I would grind the inside out, polish it with a Tootsie Roll, and pick up horsepower and weld the tops back on them. And that was me, and that's probably why I still can't hear very well. Because the noisiest thing you've ever done in your life is grind an aluminum intake with a steel tool. But that's what we were doing at our gas station. I did about 100 of those intakes. All the factory guys, most of them were running an intake that came out of Shadow with Sunoco. So I wanted you to know that. I wanted you to know about our A90, because this is an A90 car, but it was a sedan. And my dad hung it from a chain fall in the gas station and cut the floor from the left side to the right side with a reciprocating saw, moved 15 inches of that floor forward and built a patch behind it, and did that while everybody else was making their own hump. Our dad said, some guy designed this floor for a reason, we're gonna take it with us, and it went right to the front of the car. And just to let you know, if any of you got any free time, we're building another one right now. It's hanging on the garage. and I need help. So come see me later.
Give Larry that microphone. So Larry, as the proprietor of MOPAR City, some of you don't know, but MOPAR City is one of the largest MOPAR recycling locations on the planet. But what was your association with the A990 racing stuff?
Well, I ran around with a guy. His name was Bill Alphonse. He had nothing. We were racing 64 car dog catcher.